Have you ever wondered what a Butterfree and a Lumineon would look like if they were fused into one? Of course you haven't, but that's not the point, because this fusion ROM hack did it anyways, and it actually looks pretty cool. Today, I'm going to be playing through the most insane Pokemon fusion ROM hack, but with only shiny fusions. The shiny rate has been up severely since I have no idea what's coming, and this is a hardcore Nuzlocke, and I'm not gonna lie, I really shouldn't have done this. They made this game super hard, and let's just say there's a lot of bloodshed. Most of the fusions in this game though are amazing, but of course you have your fair share of bad ones as well. If you guys do enjoy the video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe as always. But let's get into this. So we start our journey in the Hoenn region and we do all the basic things we would do in a Pokemon game. You know, the whole mom stuck me in the back of a truck thing. Professor Birch was getting attacked by not a Zigzagoon, but a Stunky and a Spritzee fusion, meaning there's Pokemon up to Gen 8 in this game. Now, our three starters are a Trico and Rowlet fusion, a Torchic and Fennekin fusion, and a Mudkip and Froakie fusion. I decided to hunt Treelet since I didn't like the Fennekin one, and the Grey Ninja one was definitely the popular one, and I like to sway from the popular things. So let's be different. So as I said, the odds are upped a lot, way more than my regular shiny videos because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. This did take a while though, since I had to restart the game fully because Emerald has an RNG bug or something for shiny Pokemon. But after a short while, we ran into a shiny Spritzee, which sucks, but guess what? It was also our shiny Treelet. This thing looks amazing. I didn't want to nickname my Pokemon so I could actually see the names they gave them. Our first battle was May, and I trained a little so that we would win 100%, and she actually had two Pokemon. First one is her starter, being that Torkin, which I pounded to death, and Poochdower I also pounded to death. Speaking of Poochdower, he was the shiny I encountered in the Petalburg Woods. I love the reddish hue it has. Obviously, I'm not going to hunt in every route since it's a shiny run, but I did accidentally run into a shiny Cronler, which is a Claunchler and a Krabby fusion. The shiny is pretty good for this thing. I caught it, which should be good for the first gym, which luckily does keep the rock typing, so we can somewhat be prepared. Bro, I want a Maripede? Maripede? That looks so cute. I was pretty confident with the team I had for the first gym, so I went ahead and challenged Roxanne. She starts off with this Tyran, and man does this thing look cool. It wasn't really an issue since Treelet had Absorb, which got some of her health back, and she had a second one who also got defeated by Treelet. Her third Pokemon, however, was a Spiritomb, a fusion between Spiritomb and Lily. Couldn't believe they were giving her a Pokemon as strong as this thing off the bat. I absorbed 2 times with Treelet, doing pretty much nothing, and then her second rock throw got us super low. From here I decided to switch into our Cronler since it had high defense and we tanked that rock throw fairly well. Our bubble wasn't doing much and we eventually got her to the yellow, but she got us into the red. I didn't want to sack Treelet or Cronler, so I went into Poochdower and she just went for an Astonish because I was super low. So that was huge because I assumed this thing was a ghost type and I had Bite on Poochdower. A single bite killed from where she was at, and that's our first gym badge. Okay, that was way too hard for the first gym. But on the bright side, Treelet evolved into Grotix, and that shiny is dope. Bro, look at this thing. This is something I didn't know I needed. I searched for another shiny in Granite Cave, and although we didn't find that Gascoli, we did find a MetaMask, and that name is perfect. Now, let's just say I did this a couple of times already, and Brawley is no joke. I went back to one of the earlier routes to hunt a Pokemon just in case. We ended up finding a Sentido, which is the most adorable thing you've ever witnessed in your life, and with that, we take on the gym. I led MetaMask since he is a ghost type, and he led a Miendit. I immediately started meditating, and this thing went for a poison gas, poisoning us. However, I did put a Pecha Berry on him. I got all the way to +4, and he did manage to poison us again, but we killed it with an Astonish. Now this thing is a problem. I can't imagine what the stats are on this thing since it's 2 single-stage Pokemon fused together. One being Hawlucha, and the other being a Molga. But thankfully, we ended up snagging a crit to take it out. Haolga is no joke, and they're everywhere in Hoenn. Brawley's last Pokemon is his own MetaMask, and of course, one Astonish is enough to take it out as well. Okay, I know you guys are going to enjoy this one. A Rockruff and a Carvania. Incredible. Now, the infamous May fight is up, and she led a Tailabee. I went for a couple of Embers until the AI was smart and hard switched into Combixen. I did switch in MetaMask and went for a Confusion in case this thing was a fighting type. It was indeed not. On top of that, it had Peck, which didn't too much. However, she got a critical hit, which was probably just enough to KO MetaMask. That really blows. Oh well, the show must go on, so I sent in Cronler. She went for Light Screen this turn, and now my bubble did nothing, but I just went for it again, and she hard switched again. This thing is super annoying being a grass and water type. I didn't think it was water grass and instead grass poison at the time. I just went into Grotex who could wing attack this thing to death, and Tailabee almost got the best of me, but we came out on top here. Cronler basically cleaned up Combixen since all it used was Peck and 1 double kick. That May fight was no joke, but almost all of my team is first stage evolutions anyways. So was it really? Since we had lost a shiny, I decided to hunt another one, and there was a Krogunk and Shelmet fusion that I really wanted, but instead ran into a Corcella on Route 117. This is great since it's the Gen 8 Corsola, which means this guy is a grass and ghost type. Now our next gym was Watson, and I was trying to avoid every single trainer since this game was pretty hard at the beginning, but I had to fight some guy in the gym, and somehow, again, this thing crit my Pooch Tower, and now I have to hunt again. I went to the previous route before Mauville where we had a chance to get this little guy, but of course we didn't get that, and instead got dupes. But after trying again, we came across a plus node, which is a Plusle fused with an electrode. Pretty meh in my opinion, but it'll have to do. Now, I watched a little bit of Swiggo's video to get some information. Thanks, Swiggo. Because it was super hard and I just needed a plan. If I remember, he did use a Quaggro, but I actually thought of catching one before I watched his video since I remembered it was in Rusturf Tunnel. And it was the only thing that spawned there, so we pretty much had a guaranteed encounter. So anyways, I led Quaggro, a normal and ground type fusion of Quagsire and Bibarel. 2 gods in 1. Unfortunately, this Mudsdale does have double kick, which is super effective, but we just mudshot getting him to over half and lowering his speed means we can go first next turn for the knockout. Watson's second Pokemon was his own plus node, and mine tried to learn self-destruct, so I safely switched into Corsola, and boom. We're immune, baby. Quaggro did try to learn Yawn, which I taught him, and up next was Skullferos. I went for a Leech Seed as his Sludge crit because why wouldn't it? And left us at 3 HP. Now that he was seated, I switched into Quagmire on a Sludge that crit again. Like, come on. But thankfully, we got some HP back from Leech Seed. I yawned just in case as he missed a big poison gas and then started bulking up. The poison did eventually catch up to me, but after setting up to +2, we can take out this thing and Drampound comes out. Now this is a fusion, guys. His Dragon Breath did get us weak, but of course one Mudshot. What? How the fuck, Quaggro? I did have an Oranberry, which was popped, and the poison didn't kill us. Of course, he was going to heal here, but guess what? We missed our dumb Mudshot, which would have ended the fight right here. I sent in Grotix next, but he took half from Dragon Breath, so I went into Plus Node, who didn't take half. I managed to paralyze him, and after, spam Sonic Boom, since all he was using was Charge for some reason, and eventually Shockwave. Plus Node was able to secure the badge for us. It's funny because my plan was to sack him and then go back into Quaggro, who could outspeed and finish it with Mudshot. You know, assuming we didn't miss. Wow, this game is hard. Also, this isn't following Emerald's regular level cap, so that's why the level cap is off, and I noticed this, I think, after Flannery. Well, after that Terror fight, I made my way all the way down to Fall Arbor Town, and we found this thing on the way. A Pedolite. A Pedolite. That just sounds so wrong. Who made that name for this one? What the f*** is that? A Licouch. Come on, guys. Some things just shouldn't be fused. We did happen to evolve our little Cronler into Kingster. I don't know why they went with Kingster when it could have just been as simple as Kingser. Finally, our little crab was going to be way more useful. We also evolved this little guy, which was grass normal by the way, into Furroat. Again, could have just been Furgoat, but whatever, I'll shut up. Time to put Kingster to work against Maxie. A Mudshot did some work on Might Doom, but I switched into Quaggro, who got crit, what's fucking new, and a Mudshot can finish him off. From here, Castle, yes you heard that right, Castle came out. His ground type moves weren't doing much to me, so I Mudshot, and since I was pretty weak, I went into Kingster again, whose bubble did a sizable chunk. We did get to the red and made him pop his potion, but now we needed to switch into Corsola, who could resist a ground type attack. Of course, that's not what happened, and instead he went for Signal Beam of all things, which is neutral against us. I went for a Nightshade, and of course we missed. Jesus. And this thing actually does have a fire type move, and surprisingly, it didn't kill us. At this point, I just decided to sack Plus Node after taking a Signal Beam on entry, and another one after we missed the KO on Castle here. How unfortunate. From here, we just wing attack with Grotix, and for his last Pokemon, Furroat's Stab Quick Attack did loads of damage. Alright, Flannery is up, and I led Quaggro to no surprise. I started with a Yawn as she went for a Sunny Day. I then went for a Bulk Up as she went for a Magnitude for some reason. And from here, I was able to set up to +6 attack and defense until she finally woke up and decided to use Overheat, which didn't do that much. After more of her Magnitudes, I went for a Mudshot for the KO. We did try to learn Double Edge, and I said, what the hey, and taught it to him instead of Headbutt. Darupalm is next, and that died to one Mudshot, and Castle here actually lived to my surprise, and I was like, Quaggro is totally dead. But no, he survived on 1 HP. What a legend. She healed 2 times, and I got her back to the red both times, and of course we outsped it for the KO. Thankfully, we didn't miss a single attack. Now her last Pokemon is Excadrill, a fusion between Excadrill and Heatmore. Assuming this thing is somewhat fast, I didn't think I could outspeed, so I went into Furrow to sack. Sorry, little one, but we have been getting way too many grass types. From here, I went into Kingster, and unfortunately, X-Kahit used Sunny Day, meaning our Muddy Water didn't even do half. However, I must have forgotten I had Mud Shot the first turn, so I used it, and it straight up destroyed this guy. Quad effectiveness for the win. This is also the fight where I realized my level caps were wrong since she was 31 and I was level 29. Anyways, with the correct level cap, I went straight to Dad's chambers and he actually let a quad grow, but mine's better since I yawned him and started bulking up to +6. 2 mud shots took care of him and this thing came out. He flinched me twice with Stomp, which is unlucky, but we finally hit a Mud Shot and down goes that. For Furrow, I just used Double Edge since Mud Shot was resisted, and we did take some recoil, but a one shot and I didn't think this thing could get any weirder. Our Mud Shot got it to the yellow, and after he healed, we defeated him. Also, I didn't mention it before, but Quaggro has the ability Water Absorb, so those things weren't a threat at all. Now we needed a new shiny for our team. There were a lot of routes that repeated themselves in terms of encounters, so I decided to go to New Mauville to find some electric types. In here we had Mudstole, Dreexel, and Joltbat. All amazing options, and we ended up finding a Joltbat, which at first I was like, what is this? Joltik and Zubat? Joltik and Woobat? But completely forgot about Noibat and didn't realize until it evolved. Electric Flying is always a good typing, and this was hands down the best shiny on the team. Leave a comment if you love black shinies. This is probably the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Game Freak, we need to make this a thing. Before we take on Winona, I evolved my Corcella into a Kergrowth, and I actually really like this thing. Now, Winona was extremely difficult, and unfortunately Joltbat here didn't evolve at the cap. I had went and grabbed Ice Beam from the ship, so I taught that to Kingster, but her first Pokemon was Ponyta, so I just mopped the floor with this thing using Surf. Next up was Lapple, and this fusion actually has 2 forms, which I didn't know at the time. I thought this was a grass flying type, but this thing could be water dragon or even water flying, meaning Ice Beam was neutral and we didn't even do half. She confused us, so I had to switch into Quaggro, taking a Dragon Breath, and the following turn I used Yawn as she seeded us. Then I went into Kergrowth, which she confused, and I just tried to break through, which I did to get off a Leech Seed. From here I hard switched Kingster in, and she was still asleep. I Ice Beam, which didn't kill, and come on, confused again? And the Leech Seed couldn't finish her off! She then healed, and of course we hit ourselves 2 times in a row, letting her Leech Seed us. I decided I wanted to switch, so I went into Kergrowth, who got crit by Dragon Breath, but we did get some health back from Leech Seed. She Dragon Breaths us again as I confuse her. Yeah, I don't even know why I tried that. Why would she hit herself? And I wasted so much time since a single Shadow Ball was able to KO this thing from the health it was at. Like, come on. That is absolutely insane, Kergrowth. Unfortunately, we did take unnecessary damage, and for Mariotto, fearing a flying type move, I go into Joltbat, who eats that, and the following turn goes straight for a Spark, killing that thing. There was no way this thing wasn't going for an ice move, so I swapped into Kingster, and I was in fact correct. Now I just Surf, which did half as she used Hail. One more and that is in the grave. Ice Beam was obviously going to be neutral here, so I went into Grotix, who took way too much damage from a Double Edge. So then I went into Kergrowth, and oddly enough, he went for Double Edge again, which we're immune to. I didn't see a way out of this powerful Double Edge, so I ended up sacking Kergrowth and went into Quaggro, who had the most HP. I just had to hope we could live, and he ended up using Wing Attack, which was weird. But anyways, we yawned to hopefully get this thing asleep, and Joltbat could get a quad effective Spark off. We sacked our good friend Quaggro, and then Joltbat avenged our fallen soldier. That thing helped me through so much. I'm gonna miss him. Now we're all the way back to 3 Pokemon on the team. After this gym, our team was decimated, and since I didn't really like any of the fusions in the next route, I went into the Safari Zone to see if we could find a shiny. Well, I ended up finding a Tyradino, which had an amazing shiny. I was really happy with this find, and it was probably one of my favorite team members throughout this challenge. We still only had 4 shinies though, so I went to see what was on route 1, 2, 3. And we had some good options like Shelgunk and a Rockvanya, but ultimately I found a Darupom, which I wasn't mad at since this thing was sure to have a high attack stat. The shiny was pretty bad though. It goes from this to this. Garchomp V2. After this, I immediately evolved Darupom into Darmabipon? Yeah, I mean, I guess how else would you fuse those names? Anyways, I evolved Joltbat into Galvern, which is when I realized this thing was Galvantula and Noivern, and then I evolved Grotix into Desatile. All amazing evolutions if I do say so myself. Let me know what you guys think. Also, the shiny for Desatile is probably the best one on the team. With our newfound team, I took on May, and here's that other Lapras evolution. I figured this one was Grass type, and it was since our Drill Peck devoured it, and for Honko, Kingster was able to knock it out in 1 hit. Here comes that annoying ass Pokemon again, and I went for Ice Beam thinking, oh, Grass and Poison, but no. Then I switched Galvern in to Thunderbolt away. Delzakin came out, and I take it back, this thing is pretty cool. But our Air Cutter crit, and a Thunderbolt finished her off. I'm assuming it's Fire Psychic since our Air Cutter didn't do anything. Our Maxie fight wasn't too hard. Tyradina took care of Might Doom, and for the Almighty Castle, Kingster took it out with a big crit. Okay, this is the best fusion in the game by far. Just wow. Too bad we got another crit and showed him who's boss. Alright, in the Moss Deep Gym, our Tyradino evolved into Tyraking, and isn't this the most stacked shiny team you've ever seen? He's also a ground dragon type, which is great. Now this gym was scary since it was a double battle. I led Kingster and the monkey. I can't say his name, it's too much of a tongue twister. Zavile used Ice Beam and actually froze Kingster, which was bad, but our monkey used Ancient Power, which did a nice chunk to Zavile. Kingster also defrosted and missed her Muddy Water on Zavile, but got Lunaser to half lowering her accuracy. It did go for a Swords Dance, which is okay since the next turn it just died from Muddy Water, and Zavile was killed by an Ancient Power from our monkey, who actually got an Omni Boost from it. They sent out a Chandigross, and this thing looks menacing. I went for a superpower on Soul Cross, and luckily it was super effective, and apparently Chandigross wasn't as menacing as I thought, since it went straight down to a Muddy Water. This game has me on edge, I swear. After dealing with some evil team business, I meet up with Archie, who plans to take over the world. Of course, I have to put a stop to it, so Galarian took out his Might Doom, and for whatever this is, I sent Kingster out, fearing an Ice move, and a couple of Surfs can take care of that. Lycanpedo definitely almost killed us with a Rock Slide, but fortunately Kingster is just better. Oh wow, they fused Groudon with Palkia and Kyogre with Dialga. Now they look menacing for sure. Look at these dumb s***s. They know they f***ed up, but won't admit it. Yeah, I have to clean up your mess, you bunch of bums. Okay, now that is pretty cool, and if it wasn't for the fact that he wasn't over the level cap for the Elite Four, I'd totally shiny hunt it. Bummer. Well, after Raytina, or whatever it's called, stops these two, and we can take on the final gym. Seriously, can Officer Jenny just put these two in jail? How did we not know they're gonna do this again? Anyways, after solving the easiest puzzle that I totally didn't mess up, I take on Juan, whose sprite looks nothing like his in-battle sprite. I led Desatau and immediately went into Galarian, who with 2 Thunderbolts was able to take this Gattyke out. Now for Swap Ninja here, I thought it was going to be Water Dark, but it in fact did have the ground typing, so Thunderbolt did nothing. I did however teach Giga Drain to Galarian, who got some health back, but didn't KO. Then we took a heaping amount of damage from Surf and killed Swap Ninja. His next Pokemon was his own Kingster, and I went for Giga Drain again as his Hydro Pump did connect doing a lot. Another one would take it out to give us some more health back, and I really thought this was Water Ground, but it was Water Normal, so Giga Drain didn't do jack, and I also ran out of PP on it. The following turn I did just use Thunderbolt, and that takes care of this abomination. Next up is King Gauji, which to me just looks like regular old Dragauji, and I switched in Tyraking, which was neutral to water, but he just used Sludge Bomb. Earthquake didn't manage to kill, but I just spammed it and got an unnecessary crit for the win. Good job, Tyraking. I also didn't level all the way to the cap there, since I thought it would be an easier fight with Galarian, but they sure do have some unique water fusions in this game. Now I did need a new shiny for the team, but I didn't see anything I liked, and well, I accidentally ran into Wally, and he let a Carinair. Thankfully, Desatile was out, and Drill Peck almost one-shot, but eventually, after he healed, it was done for. His next Pokemon was Delsakin, and he went for Bulk Up, so our Earthquake didn't kill with Tyraking. He only used Slash though, so we were able to secure the kill on him. Next is Furrow, and I stayed in since Grass is neutral, but our Dragon Claw didn't do anything. I then swapped in Kingster since he was using Double Edge and took him out with an Ice Beam. For Galarian, I had to go back into Tyraking since I feared an Electric type move, and I was right. Then I went into our own Galarian as he went for a Signal Beam. Why would you go for Signal Beam? The amount of damage our Thunderbolt did was impressive, and he did use Super Fang, which was unfortunate, but one more and bye-bye Galarian. Of course, this Roseril doesn't live a single Fire Punch from Darambapon. I can never say it right. Anyways, that was the fight. Okay, it could have been a lot worse. I ended up going back to Shoal Cave since it had some cool Pokemon. I really wanted Spielber, and we did end up finding it and catching it in a Master Ball to match his color. This thing was a Conkeldurr and a Walrein put together. 2 legends. Ice and Fighting type. Victory Road wasn't too hard, and now we can take on the league. Our first Elite Four member is Sydney. I led Walkador, which is the evolution of Spielber, and 1 Brick Break was enough to KO this Might Doom. He sent out Scravenant next, and our Blizzard did miss unfortunately, but he only used Leech Seed. The following turn a Blizzard connected and did a big chunk to him. He did Giga Drain and get health back from Leech Seed, so I sent out Desatile to Swords Dance and Drill Peck this guy to death. After Lycanpedo comes out, and I really thought Leaf Blade was going to kill, but it didn't, and thankfully he just used Scary Face. After taking a Slash, we can take him out, but Swaybuzz comes out, so I had to go into Galarian, and man, is this thing tanky. How did you even live that? But of course, he is no more, and Lucario took half from a fly, and another can secure us our first battle against the Elite Four. Phoebe is up next, and she led this monster, which is an amazing fusion by the way, but Tyraking put her in her place with an Earthquake. Okay, that is pretty cool as well, and I went straight into Desatile, which was big brain since this thing has Outrage. We actually tanked them pretty well as well. And I just Leaf Bladed until eventually he got a crit. After he healed, I went for it one more time to do half, and then sent out Walkador, who ate 2 Outrages, and a Blizzard can KO from where he's at. Now unfortunately, I did miss a Blizzard on Kurgrove, so I had to go into Galarian, who took a Shadow Ball, and then a Fly did half of his health. Luckily, he went for Amnesia, so another one is enough to finish him. I was really hoping Thunderbolt would just destroy Driftlord in one shot, but it didn't. After she full restores, I Giga Drain for health and got a crit. That healed us all the way back to full, and down goes Driplord. Now, I did not do a lot with Thunderbolt against Kafacham, but he got us super low with Shadow Ball, so I went into our normal type Darmambapon, and then pivoted into Tyra King, taking a critical hit high jump kick. Ouch. Alright, from here I decided to go into Kingster, taking a high jump kick, and one single serve can finish this battle right up. Okay, that was a little brutal. For Glacia, she led an Oro Queen, and of course I led Darmambapon, and I'm so lucky she didn't use a ground type move if she had it, but either way, I did manage to burn her with Fire Punch. Another one takes out this thing, and Walkader shows up. I went into her own, and she missed a crucial Rock Slide. The next turn, a Brick Break got her to half, and her Blizzard also missed, meaning bye-bye Walkader. She sent out a Bomb-O-Nine, and he did have Flamethrower doing a shit ton of damage to us, but we retaliated with a big Brick Break. She was going to heal, so I hoped for a crit and didn't get one. From here, Darmambapon comes in on extreme speed, and then we can kill him with Fire Punch. Bargoro is up next, and I just straight up superpowered this thing in one single hit. What a legend. Hack Slash is her final Pokemon, and I just went for another one, doing only half since our attack was lowered from before. Actually went for a Swords Dance. I then swapped Tyra King in, getting our Poison Point to activate, but it didn't matter since an EQ was able to wrap this battle right up. Drake is the final Elite Four member on the list, and he starts off with a Tyra King of his own. He did use Earthquake, but our Blizzard connected, meaning this thing just got absolutely mopped on the floor. Escanite is out, and I was scared for my life. I went into Kingster, but his Outrage just did way too much damage to us, so instead I went into Tyra King, hoping I would live in Outrage, and we did. One Earthquake thankfully was enough to destroy him, and out comes Lapple. I always forgot which typing this was, so I went into Desatile taking an Outrage, and then going for a Swords Dance on his second Outrage. I decided to see if Drill Peck would kill from here, and unfortunately it didn't, meaning Desatile is completely alive at 3 HP. He was obviously going to heal, but it doesn't matter. 2 more Drill Picks is enough to KO Lapple. Take that, Drake. Alright, I know I've said this a million times in this run, but that thing is truly amazing. Spectacular, if you will. At this point, I just decided to sack Desatile and get off as much damage as possible since this thing looks very strong. This was a mistake since Wallace is water type, but for this battle, I was able to go into Kingster, who finished Goodrygun with an Ice Beam. His last Pokemon was Drampound, and I was terrified. I went for a Mud Shot on the off chance something happened since I was just going to sack Kingster, and would you look at that? He missed the Thunder. Mud Shot lowers his speed, and boom, another one for the W. Come on, Drake. Could have just blowed me.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
And I would have fallen. Alright, here we go. Wallace. Wallace starts out with my most hated fusion in this game, Serapex. I led Galarian, but I needed to preserve him since Desatile was dead and he was the one with Thunderbolt. I immediately went into Walkader and he missed a big Hydro Pump. Then I used Brick Break, which did nothing, and he hit a Hydro Pump that took half from us. From there, I just used Blizzard and sacked Walkader to a Hydro Pump. From there, Galarian can come in to finish this thing off with a Fly. Next up is Basu Kingu, and I was almost positive a Thunderbolt will kill him from full, but it didn't. Fortunately, he did just use Rain Dance, and eventually after his potioning, we killed him. His third is King Gauji, and I needed to keep Galarian healthy, so I straight up sacked Darmambapon to go into Tyra King. This way, a single Earthquake can kill this thing from full as we've done in the past. Unfortunately, Gartine comes out next, and now we're just snowballing. Tyra King doesn't live a single Outrage from this thing, and Galarian comes out. A Thunderbolt doesn't even do half to this thing. We are able to snag a crit on the last one there before we die, and Kingster is our last hope. Gartine is obviously going to outspeed and do a lot of damage, but an Ice Beam can KO. Now yes, it is in fact over, but you'll be surprised to know that I actually almost did it. See, Licky Cash used Future Sight and I used Mud Shot. Then he used Fissure, which is a 30% accurate move, which missed. Then I used Surf, which got him more down. Then he Fissured again and missed, but the future attack left us on 5 HP, meaning we can get another Surf off, and he Future Sights us again. He healed, which pretty much means we've lost and we got a Surf off, but he finally uses Earthquake after trying to meme on us with Fissure, and we just shouldn't have sacked Desatile so early, but honestly, if I hadn't used Giga Drain on that Wishy-Washy, then he probably would have used another potion, meaning he wouldn't have used it here, and I probably could have killed it with Kingster, which is just outright insane if you think about it. Well, anyways, this was super fun to play through, and although we did lose, we lost with dignity. The team we ended up with was great, and all the shinies were great as well. Let me know what was your favorite shiny one out of the ones I caught, and let me know what was your favorite fusion out of the entire run. With that being said, my name is Jules, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.